I think one of the most difficult things for family members when they have a late stage alcoholic in their life is understanding the extent that the alcoholic will go through to obtain alcohol. If this is the first time seeing me, well, my wife unfortunately passed away from alcohol use disorder almost 5 years ago. And what she used to do her last few years, she was on crutches because she was either about to get knee surgery. She eventually had both her knees replaced, and she was on crutches either prior to that or after that, almost the last 4 years of her life. So I would go to bed because I had to work the next day, somewhere around 11:30. She would actually go to bed with me, wait till I fell asleep. She'd get up, get on her crutches, somehow hobble out of the room downstairs, call an Uber, and then she'd hang out on the porch, wait for the Uber to come, get an Uber, and her whole plan was to get to the CVS, which was about a mile away, buy alcohol before they closed at 2 o'clock in the morning. She'd probably buy a couple of bottles of wine, or depending later on, she would buy a case of beer. I don't know how she could carry it with her crutches. Maybe the Uber driver helped her. And she would hide them in the bushes in the front of the house. Then she'd go back in the house and go back to sleep. She had to have her supply for the next day. And she would do this time and time and time again until my son said, you know what, I saw mom on crutches in the front of the house at 1 o'clock in the morning. You might want to ask what she's doing on crutches at 1 o'clock in the morning. And what you have to realize is when you have a family member who's a late stage alcoholic, your focus really isn't on that. Especially when I was running a business, I had to take care of our son, had to take care of the house, and you can't focus everything what your spouse is doing. And it's a really difficult situation, and it becomes an impossible situation because it's essentially like dealing with another child who's hell-bent on destroying themselves and anybody else who's around them, regardless of the outcome. It's about the alcohol. They have to get the alcohol. And understanding that from the perspective of the family member, I think will resonate with a lot of people. When I found out my son, because his room was in the front of the house, he goes, one day he saw her like 1 o'clock in the morning on crutches walking down the street, because eventually what she would do, she would meet the Uber driver down at the corner. She'd go down about 5 or 6 houses so that we wouldn't hear the Uber driver drive up in front of our house and wake our son. So I mean, she was going to that kind of an extent and had this all planned out. And the motivation behind it was the saddest part, because I mean, she was not productive the last 3 or 4 years of her life. I mean, there was no cooking, cleaning. I mean, she was not really a part of the household in any way. It was really just get alcohol anyway, anyhow. And this was always between incarceration, hospital stays, psych stays, outpatient facilities. So she wasn't with us all the time, but this was going on between those episodes. And part of the scary part was like, where was she getting the money to buy this? Because she didn't have access to an ATM card or credit cards, to my knowledge. And what she was doing, she was just ordering new cards. She was ordering, Visa card or MasterCard in her name, get them in the mail, max them out. She'd never pay the bills on them, and then she'd just order another one. And she did that until her credit was completely, gone, basically. And then when she ran out of that option, she would get friends to come over. And she had a couple good friends who also had similar issues, housewives in the area. They would bring alcohol over during the day, and then she would pay them back. Somehow she would steal money from the account. I mean, we never really understood how she got it. She did all kinds of things like this. But what I'm getting at is the motivation, and you have to be aware as a family member that it will become the singleness of purpose in their life to get alcohol. It's part of the disease. It just is. And you have to understand that it doesn't make any difference what they say or the amends that they're trying unless you see a real constant motivation. They have to go to group therapy, counseling on a daily basis, especially when they're really caught into this grip. And you can tell you're coming home from work and you don't know what you're coming home to. And if you have that kind of insecurity in your life, well, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because you shouldn't be feeling like you don't know what you're coming home to when you come home from work. Are you going to have a drunk person? Are they going to be on the floor? Are they going to be somewhere in between? And it's important to recognize that. What can you do as a family member? Let's talk about that next. And I think one of the hardest things as a family member, certainly as a spouse, or if you have a son or a daughter, or if it's a parent, the hardest thing, the saddest thing is to realize that they're beginning to lose their purpose if they have not already lost their purpose. Because likely they're not working, they're not really being productive members of society. If they are a high functioning alcoholic, well, it's just a matter of time before they're no longer high functioning. The alcohol will take over their body. Alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen. It will break down all of your organs: heart, liver, kidneys, pancreas, you name it. It will break down your body, including your mind. So it's important when they've lost purpose and their sole lot in life is to get alcohol. There's not a whole lot you can do as a family member. I mean, you can either end that relationship, and it's pretty much impossible or near impossible if you're married, certainly for a long period of time. You're looking at breaking up everything in your life, and that person's probably going to pass away shortly thereafter. And you have to get to the callous point where you have to make decisions. Should I stay and fight this out, or separate and know that the mother of your son, it will probably pass away within 60 to 90 days, and that's pretty much a given when they're at this point, not capable of living by themselves. That wasn't an option, certainly in my case. I know this will resonate with other people, and none of this, again, is to disparage the alcoholic. These are just realities that families have to go through and the decisions that they have to make. And again, the memoir is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. You can find it on Amazon. It's also in the link tree. You can go to my website right above. I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. We also have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, I have a complete coaching program. Again, link is in the link tree. Set up a call if you're ready to change your life and the life of your family. And again, thanks so much for listening.